Welcome to another Techvid. Today, you'll learn how to set up the Sophos NDR sensor in the Nutanix Acropolis hypervisor. Let's dive in. Sophos NDR reports all detection data to the Threat Analysis Center in Sophos Central by using a SPAN and ERSPAN port to scan traffic generated from your hypervisor environment. Today, you'll learn how to set up the NDR integration in Sophos Central. Download and deploy the NDR image in Nutanix. Configure a SPAN port to mirror inter-VM traffic. Configure an ERSPAN port to mirror external traffic. And lastly, you'll learn how to access the Sophos Appliance Manager to manage and troubleshoot the VM. Before starting, you need a Sophos Network Detection and Response Integration License Pack. Ensure that you're running a supported version of Nutanix AHV. The setup steps in this Techvid are shown in version 6.8. If you're using a different version, any key differences in the steps will be identified. Note that we have separate resources for other supported hypervisors linked in the description. Next, ensure you've enabled HTTPS access out of the target network to Sophos Central, as there is no web inspection or proxy on the connection to Sophos Central, and the physical and/or virtual switches are configured to allow SPAN ports. In addition, since Nutanix is not able to generate ERSPAN traffic, ensure your network switch or router can produce ERSPAN. For more information regarding the specific CPU requirements and appliance size guidelines, refer to the documentation linked in the video description. Let's get started. In Sophos Central, go to the Threat Analysis Center and open the Integrations Marketplace. Select Sophos NDR. Then click Add Configuration. Enter a name for the integration. The description is optional. Then create a new appliance to collect NDR logs. Give the appliance a name. Note, this name must be unique. Once again, the description is optional. For the virtual platform, select Nutanix. Then specify the network port settings. You can use DHCP or manually specify a static IP address and network configuration, as I'm doing. Lastly, indicate any domains or protocols that should be excluded from detections. You can set up your exclusions later, but you must enter the list name now. Note that the list name must be unique for each NDR integration. In this example, I'll exclude the domain sophos.com and the multicast DNS protocol. Once done, scroll back up and click Save. Now, you're presented with the appliance credentials. Note that these are only shown once. Make sure to store these securely as you'll need them to manage the appliance. And now, the new integration appears at the top of the list. At this point, the image file will be created for you to deploy in Nutanix and can take a little while to generate. This contains disk image files, a seed ISO containing the authorization key, and an installation script. Once it's available, click the ellipsis on the right and the download image option should now be selectable. If not, you may need to wait and refresh the list again. Download the image. This may take some time depending on your internet connection. Once done, extract the zip file. Next, sign into the Nutanix server to deploy the VM. Then, in the home menu, go to Settings. Choose Image Configuration and click Upload Image to start loading your files. Begin with the root file. Enter a name. We recommend you include root. You can optionally add an annotation. Under Image Type, choose Disk, then select Upload a File. Click Browse and locate the root file. Hit Save and wait for the upload to complete. Next, repeat the steps to upload the data file. We recommend including data in the name. Once again, hit save and wait for the upload to complete. Lastly, upload the seed ISO image file. We recommend including ISO in the name. Ensure you select ISO as the image type. Browse for the file and hit Save. All images are now uploaded and we can move on. Next, upload the installer script with command prompt. Change the directory to the location of the extracted zip file. And here you can see the NDR Sensor.sh script. Run this command, scp, the script file name, admin, at the IP address of the Nutanix server, :/. This will place the script in the user's home folder. For older versions of Nutanix, such as the one I'm using, you may need to include the -O flag as well. Press enter and enter the admin password when prompted. And here you see it uploaded successfully. Next, run the installer script. Connect to Nutanix via SSH using this command, ssh admin at and the server IP address. Once again, enter the admin password when prompted. After logging in, run the script with this command, bash and the script file name. Enter a name for the appliance or leave it as the default. Then set the number of CPU cores and amount of memory to assign to the VM. Note that the default values are shown. I plan to configure both SPAN interfaces later, so I've set the CPU cores to 8, which is recommended if you plan to do this. You can change your settings at any time, but the appliance will need to reboot for the changes to take effect. You'll see a message confirming the VM has been created. Next, map the drives by selecting the uploaded image files starting with the seed ISO. Type L to list the uploaded files. Enter the seed ISO image name. Then, repeat this for the root and data disk image files. Next, specify which network interfaces to use. The available network interfaces that can be used are listed. For the management network, enter the number corresponding to the interface to use. In my case, this is 1. I'll use the same one for syslog, but this could be different in your environment. A SPAN interface is now created automatically. Note, Nutanix only sends SPAN traffic from within its environment to Sophos NDR. For the NDR appliance to receive ERSPAN traffic from outside the Nutanix environment, you need to use a network router or switch to route ERSPAN traffic to an interface on Nutanix. In this demo, I'll select one, but this may vary depending on your setup. Once the interfaces are mapped, some example ACLI commands are provided that can be used to enable traffic mirroring in a later step. Traffic for all VMs located on the host must be mirrored, so I'll copy the command from the first example. There are a few things to note about the command. The shell script detects which version of Nutanix you're running and provides the specific command for your setup. For version 6.8 and higher, you'll see the same commands shown here. For lower versions, the create traffic mirror command will appear as create span session instead. After that, the name of the session is shown. You can leave this as the default or rename it if desired. In the source list parameter, the host UUID text must be replaced with the actual value. To find this, run the command ACLI host.list. You may have multiple hosts in your environment, so make sure to copy the correct information. Next, you may need to modify the identifier parameter. This is the name of the source port whose traffic you want to mirror. In the example, BR0up is shown, which refers to a network bridge interface. Make sure to update this based on your specific environment. Lastly, the destination list parameter is pre-configured to send to the specific interface on the NDR VM and shouldn't be modified. You'll run the command later, so make sure to copy this and the host UUID. Next, if you're using Nutanix version 6.8 and higher, you must also enable the option to allow CPU pass-through. By default, this is disabled. You can quickly check the status of this setting in your VM. First, enter this command to find the VM UUID ACLI VM.list. Copy this down. Then retrieve the VM information with the command ACLI VM.get and the VM UUID. Scroll up until you find CPU pass-through. You can see it's set to false, which confirms it's disabled. To enable this, enter this command, ACLI vm.update, the VM UUID CPU passthrough equals true. Hit enter to apply the change. Get the VM details again, and you can scroll up to confirm this is enabled. You can now boot up the VM. Return to Nutanix. Open the menu and go to VM. Right-click on the new VM and choose Power On. The VM boots for the first time and checks all required connections. This can take up to 10 minutes. Right-click on the VM and click Launch Console to view the progress. Once done, you'll see the console UI and a confirmation that the initial sensor setup is complete. Return to Sophos Central and view the new appliance. Under Integrations, go to Configured and open the Integration Appliances tab. If you have a lot of integrations, you can quickly search for the one you want. The new appliance is now in the list and is connected. If it's not connected, check that the HTTPS traffic is permitted to reach Sophos Central as mentioned in the prerequisites. Let's move on. Next, you need to enable SPAN on the Nutanix host to monitor inter-VM traffic. Return to the Nutanix host CLI, paste the example ACLI command from earlier. Note the source list parameters have been modified to match my environment. The actual host UUID has been added in, and the identifier has been updated to ETH0. Again, make sure to adjust these parameters according to your setup. Run this command and you'll see a confirmation that it's complete. To test this connection, SSH into the NDR appliance. I'll use PuTTY, but you can use any SSH client you wish. Accept the security alert. Log in with the admin credentials you saved earlier when setting up the NDR appliance in Sophos Central. Enter this command to view the log output from the Dragonfly pod, and enter the password again when prompted. And now, for span 0, you can see packets are being captured, which means traffic has been mirrored successfully. Next, set up ERSPAN to monitor traffic from outside the Nutanix environment. Return to Sophos Central and view the NDR integration. Click the ellipsis on the right. Choose Open Appliance Manager. Log in with the appliance admin credentials. Click Actions, Settings. In the SPAN section, click Edit. Since span 0 is already in use, enable ERSPAN for span port 1. For the tunnel protocol, choose the option for your environment. In my case, it's VXLAN. Enter the IP address, VXLAN ID, and VXLAN port accordingly. Click Save, then click Yes to continue, which will reboot the appliance. You can view the reboot progress in the console window if you wish. Once the appliance has restarted, you can test the ERSPAN connection. Like before, connect to the NDR appliance with an SSH client and log in with the admin credentials again. Run the same command as earlier to view the log output from Dragonfly and enter the password again when prompted. You can see both span 0 and span 1. It may take a little time, but you'll start seeing incoming packets for span 1, which indicates the connection was a success. You'll also see that these packets are recognized as T packets or tunnel packets, which indicates they've been decapsulated and processed. Return to the Appliance Manager. Here you can see information about the VM. In the upper right, the sensor status is shown and you can see it's connected to Central. The Status tab lets you monitor the overall system. Open the NDR tab to monitor and manage Sophos NDR. Here you can see the network traffic flowing to the appliance. In the Advanced tab, you can monitor the status of each of the containers. If desired, you can also generate test detections to check that Sophos NDR is correctly set up and working. These will appear in Sophos Central once they've been processed. Lastly, you can also run queries to view traffic. Go to NDR Query. Click Example Queries. You can then copy and run any of these to ensure the VM can view the traffic. For more information about the Sophos Appliance Manager, refer to our linked documentation. As a final note, we recommend you set up the investigation console in Sophos Central so you can access all the data on your NDR sensors, not just the data flowing to our data lake. This is valuable information you can use for threat hunting. Again, refer to our linked resources for further information. That completes the setup of the Sophos NDR sensor in Nutanix. I hope you found this useful. The relevant documentation and other comprehensive resources for this Techvid are linked in the video description. Join the Sophos community to stay up to date with our products, ask questions, and get answers from Sophos experts. And go to Sophos Techvids for more expert tutorials to help you maximize your products and stay secure. See you next time.